Hello again, this is Rick from pseudosamurai.com, and today we're going to be kind of messing with our hero a little bit. Okay, so I have this simple level right now, and I have some particle effects to indicate where certain sensors are. Okay, and then each area is going to affect my hero somehow. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. First thing I want to do before you start messing with your hero graphics, you need to make sure that they're all loaded. Okay, so we're going to listen to our view.loadManager.onLoadComplete. Okay, and then we're just going to add a signal here, and we're going to just call it on load. That's fine. Okay, and let's create that method. Okay, so once all the graphics have loaded, it'll come into this this function down here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, first thing is I want to get the names of all my sensors. Okay, so if I go to the level real quick, okay, I'll show you a couple things. First off is the sensors right here. Stop that. So this one is called Lush, and I mean the names are kind of had more to do with where they are in the level than what they do. So I just gave them names. Okay. I also gave them locations, right? So these little gray boxes are where the particle fields start. That's just helpful for me, that I can place particles anywhere I want, basically. So anyway, back in here, okay, we're going to get the name of all the sensors. Okay, so sensor names is going to be an array, and we'll just have all the names. So we have dirt, what else? Desert, lush, cave, and we'll go with alien. Alright, so those are all the names of my sensors on that level. And I'm just going to make a oh, and this is an instance variable. I'll have it up here. Sensor names. It's an array. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is length uint whoops, and we'll just do dot length. Okay, so I'm getting the length of my array real quick, and the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to put it in my for loop. It's just a good practice to put, instead of having the for loop look up the length over and over every time it iterates, you just put it in a variable, and it's a little bit faster. So anyway, we'll make a uint equals 0, I less than length, and then plus I. Okay, good. So I have this for loop, and it's going to go through, you know, all of these names. And now what I have is a vector of citrus objects. Okay, and I've already created it up here. Right here, it's called CS. Or I'm sorry, not of citrus objects, is of sensors. Okay, so citrus sensors here. So anyway, I'm just going to say CS dot push, and then I want to get object, whoops, object by name, and then we can do sensor name, right, and I, as a sensor. There it is. So all I'm doing is just making a vector. I'm finding each sensor on the level and then making it a sensor and then putting it in this vector. Then what I want to do is actually listen for a collision or contact. So on begin contact, and we're just going to add a listener here, or a signal again, on touch is what we'll call it. There we go. So all this really does is just go through my level, find all the sensors, and start listening for when they are touched. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do real quick, this will come in later, but I want to get the current height of my hero. Did I spell that right? I guess I did. So just hero dot height. Right. No, I didn't spell that right. There we go. And again, that's just an instance variable. I've already made it up here. That's just a number. Okay. Good. So now what we're going to do is set up our listener. So on touch. Okay. And on touch is going to accept a box 2D polygon contact. Okay. And it's not going to return anything. Okay, so what we're going to do in here is figure out what sensor was touched. So I'm going to do a switch statement. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to do box 2D utils. Okay. And I'm going to get collision by object type, or rather collision get object by type. Right, there we go. And then we want the type to be sensor, and then we're going to check against the polygon contact we received. Right. Okay, so we're going to switch that. And then what we're going to do is just check against our vector that we created on the up here, our CS vector. So case of that, we are touching, you know, dirt would be this one, right? So before we do any code here, just set up all our cases and breaks. Alright, and then we need one more default. I always set a default, even if it doesn't do anything. Oops. Okay, so we just need to change this number, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those are all our objects, 5 objects. Okay, and then we can start figuring out what we want to do. So for this first one, let's change the alpha of our hero. So change alpha. I'm going to make a method, and what we'll do is we'll send in what we want the alpha property to be. So we'll just do like half alpha, like this. Okay. So we'll make a method, a function here, change alpha, right? And we're just going to accept amount, and that'll be a number, right? And we'll just set the default to 1 there. Won't return anything. I keep doing that. Okay, good. So This one's pretty easy. All we need to do is we'll say view.get art, and we're just going to get the art of our hero as a Starling art. Okay, then we'll just say alpha and then the amount. Okay, so that'll change our hero's alpha property. So next what we'll do, we'll change the size of our hero, right? So let's say we're going to shrink him. Okay, so this is just for the art. I won't be able to change the box2D object, at least not in this tutorial. I might cover it in the next one. But for now, we'll just change the artwork. So we'll call it change size. Once again, we'll just send in like a scaling number. So we'll just call it amount. This again will be a number, and we'll set the default to 1. So yeah, I did it again. What's wrong with me today? There's always something. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is the artwork's going to change, but the box2D, the physics object, won't. And the art is aligned to the center of that object, right? So what we need to do is offset the artwork a little bit. Okay. So we want to play with the hero.offset y. Okay. And since we're going to be using this more than once, I'm going to make a method to do it, and it's just going to be called getOffset, and it'll accept an amount. Okay, and we'll create that method quick. Okay, so the getOffset here is going to return a number. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the hero dot so we get our hero dot height, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to subtract it from the current height, and the current height is going to represent the height of the artwork. So this will make more sense once I get into it, but current height, which we set originally just to the hero height, which is the size of the hero. But one of these conditions, I'm going to change the artwork of the hero, so the height might change. And then what we're going to do is multiply it by the amount, right? And then what we're going to do is divide that by 2. Okay, so the actual height of the object is going to be we're going to subtract the artwork height times the amount from the actual height, and then divide that by 2, and that'll move the image basically down to the bottom of our box2D physics object. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. But so what we're doing is back up here, we're changing the size. So we're going to offset the artwork, and then what we're going to do is sprite is going to be Starling art. Starling art. And it's just going to be view dot get art the hero as Starling art. Okay, and then all we need to do is sprite dot scale. Oops, spell sprite correctly there. Sprite dot scale x is equal to sprite dot scale y is equal to the amount. Okay, so that'll you know, enlarge or shrink our guy based on the amount we send in, and it'll adjust the position of the artwork so that the feet will always be at the bottom of the physics box. Okay, cool. So let's do what else did I say? Let's do change art, right? Change art. And this, what we'll do is we'll just send a string. So just say view, and this will be a string, and we'll just set it to normal. Won't return anything. Okay. So in this one, basically we'll only have two conditions. I have, if you look over here in my package explorer, I have the hero Swift, which is what I load normally, and I have the slime Swift, which is what we can change our hero into and back. Okay, so we'll just say if the view is equal to normal, right? We'll get our hero dot view equal to, and then we'll just set the view like we would any other time. So hero dot Swift, right? And then what we need to do is set the current height. And I just know that the height that I was using for this hero up here is 85. So we can just say, 85. It's not a good idea to hard code it, but for right now, for this example, that's just what I'm going to do. And then I need to offset it. Offset. I don't know why. There we go. Offset Y. And then we want to get our offset again. And then we don't need to send anything because we want kind of the standard ratio. When the hero goes back to the normal sprite, we're going to make them the normal size. Okay. I forgot to set the default here as 1. Now it should be okay. Okay, good. Now, if we don't say look normal, we're going to assume that you want the view to be, essentially we'll just copy all this, the slime. So we'll change it over to the slime. Now the height on the slime is going to be 29. Okay, 29, 28. And then we want the offset, and this is a number I figured out. Again, not a good idea to hard code, but for right now, 341. Okay, so that'll tell me how big, basically I want my slime to change based on the size of the slime. Okay, all right, and then finally what we want is a reset everything. Okay, so reset, we'll just basically reset, and all we're going to do is change our art back to normal, and then change our alpha back to normal, and then in case something went wrong with this, should change the artwork back to normal. I mean the size of the artwork back to normal, but in case something goes weird, we'll change the size too, just to cover our bases there. Okay, so we have a couple different conditions, so let's put them in here. So case 1, or the first case rather, we'll just change the alpha. Okay, and then what we'll do is change the size, half size, right there. Okay, and then here we can change the view, or the art, I mean, and we'll change it to slime. Really, I could put anything in there besides normal and I'll change it to slime, but right. And then let's see, what else? We'll enlarge our hero. Change size. And we'll go like 1.3. And make them kind of big. And then finally we can reset. Okay, so let's see if I got it working. All right, so we have this guy, and if I go to one of these things, it's going to change me. So let's jump over here, and look at that. Now I'm small. Whee! Now I mentioned that the box physics object didn't change, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. But so if I come over here, now I'm big. Right? This one's reset. Boop! I'm back to normal. Right? So up here, that'll change my opacity. And then over here, boop, look at that. Now I'm a slime. Now I'm a mini slime. Now I'm a normal slime. Or a big slime, I mean. And back to normal. Right, so just manipulating some of the parts of our artwork and our hero here, we can get some neat looking stuff. So there's my little slime guy, which I think is pretty, he's cute. he's got the evil eyes, but when he jumps, he looks so happy and evil at the same time. So anyway, this is just a quick example of some different things you can affect on your artwork. Really, almost anything you can change, unlike a normal movie clip or a sprite or something, you can change in the Starling. The only thing I haven't quite figured out is how to change color. It seems like a pretty complex process, but I'll see if I can figure that out eventually. Now, real quick, one thing, I was talking about the physics object, right? So if I come in here and make the box 2D visible, you'll be able to see the bounding box of everything. Okay, so you can see the sensors, you can see the bounding box, everything. Okay, so when I jump up here and become a slime, see how the box is the same, right? If I jump up here and I become big slime, once again the box doesn't change, right? So if I come up over here and become this guy, so if I push against this wall, there's a visible gap because my box is hitting before my artwork is hitting. Okay, or you know, say jumping up, you know, my head isn't going to get close to that brick. It's going to stop me way before. So the next step in changing some of this artwork is changing your bounding box as well, which can be tricky. But we'll see what we can do. We'll figure something out. Anyway, there you go. Changing up some artwork, changing some things around. Hopefully, I didn't go too fast. I've been doing really long tutorials, so I want to kind of shorten them up. So hopefully all that makes sense. One other thing I'll add is right here we're listening for on contact. We can also, if we wanted to, listen for on end contact. So when they're on the sensor, we can do something. When they leave the sensor, we can do something. That would work well with switches, opening doors. You know, you could coordinate with crates, that kind of thing. But anyway, there's an idea of how to kind of get all your sensors in a row and figure out what to do. So good luck, keep coding.